When you hear the word Egypt, you probably immediately think of the pyramids or the desert. But Egypt is famous not only for this, but also for the massive mystical discoveries and finds that continue to be discovered by scientists. Just recently, the land of the pharaohs gave them another mystical find. It's definitely worth finding out about. In April 2021, the famous Egyptologist Zahi Hawass made a loud announcement. He reported that near Luxor an ancient city was found, which was hidden under the sands for 3,000 years. It's just unbelievable how for 3,000 years the walls of silt bricks did not crumble into ashes. And in general, despite the abundance of excavations that are constantly being conducted in Egypt, the unusual finds still continue to surface, or rather show up in the sand, as in this case. The hieroglyphs on the clay wine jugs have revealed exactly who the founder of the lost, but now found, Golden City was. It was founded by one of the greatest rulers of Egypt, King Amenhotep III, who ruled ancient Egypt in the 14th century BC. At that time, the settlement was the largest in the empire on the west bank of Luxor. Moreover, the age of the city is confirmed by a large number of such finds as jewelry, clay vessels, clay bricks, and more. A bakery and a large kitchen with ovens and earthenware utensil for food storage were discovered in the southern part of the city. Archaeologists were able to excavate an administrative and residential area enclosed by a zigzag wall with a single entrance. In one part of the city, there were unusual graves of 2 cows or bulls. Moreover, a strange grave was found, the remains of a man with his arms outstretched to his sides, but his feet were tied with a rope around his knees. To the north of the city, a cemetery was discovered, as well as tombs carved into the rock. Betsy Bryan, U.S. professor of Egyptology, emphasized that the discovery of this lost city is the second most important archaeological discovery after King Tut's tomb was discovered in 1922. Collection of ritual objects. Egyptian archaeologists have discovered a large collection of ancient objects in the Temple of the Pharaohs located in Kafr el-Sheikh province north of Cairo. These objects were used in daily religious rites dedicated to the goddess Hathor. In Egyptian mythology, Hathor is the goddess of the sky, love, femininity, and beauty, as well as fertility, merriment, and dancing. Archaeologists said the find is extremely rare. For the first time, a complete set of religious ritual instruments used daily in the performance of rituals has been found. Among the finds, there were a fragment of a limestone column with the image of the goddess, several earthenware basins, a group of earthenware vessels, and a collection of figurines. A large tribute stand was also found in the temple, as well as the Golden Eye of Horus. What other findings and discoveries related to the pyramids and more have frightened and shocked scientists? What is Egypt still hiding? Be sure to watch till the end to find out the answers to these questions. There are a lot of interesting and exciting things further in this episode. The secret room in the Pyramid of Khufu. The ancient pyramids of Egypt have always fascinated and will continue to do so. For example, the Pyramid of Khufu was built more than 4,500 years ago. King's Chamber, Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery were discovered in the 9th century and explored in detail in the 19th century. And not so long ago, Japanese physicists have discovered the so-called secret room in the pyramid. The room is located above the Grand Gallery and reaches a length of about 30 meters. It was possible to find it thanks to non-destructive methods of research called muon radiography. Such a method allows you to scan the rock and find voids in it using highly sensitive radar, the so-called cosmic rays. Some archaeologists have suggested that it may be an unloading cavity left by the builders to relieve the load from the very narrow slab of the Grand Valley. Others speculate that the room may lead to another room. In any case, all this still needs to be repeatedly studied and proven. So let's wish the researchers good luck in such a difficult case. Temple of the Bastet Goddess. This discovery can be classified as one of the most significant in the 21st century. In 2010, the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities reported that archaeologists had discovered the remains of a 2,200 years old temple in Alexandria in northern Egypt. They speculated that it might have been built in honor of the goddess Bastet. In ancient Egypt, she was considered the goddess of joy, fun, and love, female beauty, and the home. She was depicted as a cat or a woman with a cat's head. It's believed that the temple belonged to Queen Berenice II of Egypt, wife of Ptolemy III Euergetes, who ruled from 246 to 222 BC. The temple is 60 meters long and 15 meters wide. During excavations in the ruins of the complex, there were found several hundred figurines of cats, clay pots, a Roman pool, and some other items, but the temple itself has hardly survived. Black sarcophagus. In 2018, archaeologists in Alexandria unearthed a massive black sarcophagus, the largest ever found there. The weight of the find was 30 tons. Naturally, rumors always spread at the speed of light, so some suggested at the time that this sarcophagus contained the ashes of Alexander the Great, while others claimed that there was a curse there that would immediately come out and cover all of Egypt. To see who was right and who was wrong, this granite sarcophagus, which was 185 centimeters high, 165 centimeters wide, and 265 centimeters long, was decided to be opened. Fortunately, as Mustafa Vaziri, head of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, said, the world did not fall into darkness when the sarcophagus was opened. Inside, as some of those interested and concerned assumed, were indeed the remains, but not of Alexander the Great. 3 mummies, 2 men and 1 woman, were discovered there, buried around the 4th or 3rd century BC. Most likely they were warriors, but definitely not an outstanding general. Proponents of the version that Alexander the Great was buried in Alexandria are sure if there are similar burials, then someday the sarcophagus with the remains of the commander himself will be found. The Hatshepsut Mummy. The story of the second female pharaoh is still shrouded in mystery. Hatshepsut, whose reign marked the unprecedented flowering of Egypt, died in about 1458 BC. In 1903, the famous archaeologist Howard Carter found 2 sarcophagi with the name Hatshepsut in a tomb in the Valley of the Kings. The mummy wasn't there, but in a small tomb nearby, Carter saw 2 naked female mummies. Only in 2007, using the latest scientific technology, Egyptologists were able to identify that one of these anonymous mummies belongs to Hatshepsut. They were able to identify the female ruler from bone remains, DNA tests, and an accidentally found tooth. The Ramses II Mummy. Ramses II was the 3rd pharaoh of the 19th dynasty of the New Kingdom era. He's also referred to as Ramses the Great, and for good reason. He went down in history as one of the most powerful pharaohs of ancient Egypt. Pharaoh's mummy was found in 1881 in a rocky underground cache of the Deir el-Bahari complex. The mummy was believed to carry some kind of curse, but instead of hurting everyone around it, it was hurting itself. But how is this possible? The mummy was kept in the Cairo Museum, but there it began to deteriorate due to the damaging effects of fungi in contact with the air. So they decided to move it to the Musée de l'Homme in Paris for examination. Ramses II even got a passport. Whatever the case, it was done to speed up the transport process and avoid bureaucratic procedures. The oldest sarcophagi. In 2020, archaeologists discovered a large burial site with at least 100 intact sarcophagi. According to experts, they're about 2,500 years old. Many of the sarcophagi even contain mummies, which were in very good condition. For example, after opening one of the coffins, specialists found a mummy wrapped in a cloth decorated with hieroglyphics. Perhaps the nobles were buried in the sarcophagi. At that time, they could have held important positions. In addition to the sarcophagi, some funerary objects and a large number of gilded statuettes were found. The archaeological finds were made in a large necropolis at Saqqara, south of Cairo. For this, scientists have uncovered 3 burial wells about 12 meters deep. Archaeologists are confident that Saqqara has a large number of artifacts yet to be found. The mystery of the Screaming Mummy. The mummy of a screaming woman was discovered in 1881 near the city of Luxor in the tomb among the 40 mummies of the royal dynasty. But only recently, a research team using computer tomography was able to solve its mystery on the basis of the data. The alleged Egyptian princess died 3,000 years ago from a heart attack. She apparently suffered severe pain, her face contorted, and her mouth opened as if in terror. Normally, the Egyptians buried the dead with their mouths closed and their bodies straightened. But in this case, for some reason, the embalmer decided to preserve the pose and expression of the woman's face. That's all, guys. What find or discovery surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.